The Ringing Cedars, Series 24, Anastasia, Book 1, Vladimir Megre. UFO object? Nothing special. Then I asked Anastasia to show as an example her knowledge in the field of technology. Say something like that, with which our greatest scientists are barely familiar. Let's say, make some great scientific discovery. Well, that's how I do it all the time for you. Not for me, but for the world of science. Wouldn't they recognize it as a discovery? Make a discovery that will be proven in the field of technology, spacecraft, atoms, fuel for machines, when you say it's that simple. Aren't these areas compared to what I'm trying to tell you, as you say, the Stone Age for the sake of comparison? Excellent. In your opinion, primitive, and therefore it will be understandable. You will prove that you are right and confirm that your intellectual abilities are much higher than mine. Say, for example, or in your opinion, are our airplanes, spacecrafts perfect devices? Not. They are completely primitive. They confirm how primitive the technocratic path of development is. The movement of all your machines, absolutely all of them, is based on the energy of the explosion. Not knowing more perfect, natural sources, you are incredibly persistent and use such primitive, cumbersome devices. And not even the dangerous consequences caused by using this will stop you. Your planes and rockets simply achieve ridiculous flight distances, and compared to space standards they only rise slightly above the Earth, and after all, hasn't this mode already reached its ultimate limits? But that's funny. An explosive or burning substance pushes some kind of bulky structure, the one you call a spaceship, whereby a large part of this spacecraft has to solve precisely the problem of thrust. And what can be the second principle of movement in the air? For example, like in spaceships, answered Anastasia. What? Are you familiar with spacecraft and the principles of their movement? Of course I know them. They are very simple and rational. Even my throat was dry and I started to urge her. Speak, Anastasia, quickly and understandably. The principle of UFO movement is based on the energy of creating a vacuum. How is that? Be more clear. An explosion is when a solid substance turns into a gaseous one under some specific action, or during some reaction, two gaseous substances turn into lighter ones. This is, of course, understandable to everyone. But if you, or you, had purer intentions, knowledge about the ways in which nature works, you would have realized a long time ago that if there is such a substance that could explode significantly in an instant, passing into another state, then the opposite must also exist process. In nature, these are living microorganisms that turn gaseous substances into solids. In general, all plants do this, just at different speeds and with different degrees of strength and resistance of the Creator. Look around. They absorb the juice from the earth, the air, creating from it a hard and solid object. For example, wood or even harder and harder, a walnut shell or stone, like a plum. The microorganism, invisible to the eye, does this very quickly, as if feeding on air. Well, it is precisely these microorganisms that drive the flying saucer. They are similar to microcells in the brain. It's just that they have a limited functional focus. Their only function is movement, but they do it perfectly and can increase the speed of the device, up to 1/19 the speed of human thought on Earth today. They are located on the inside of the upper part of the UFO and are located between its double walls. The distance between the walls is approximately 3 centimeters. The upper and lower surface of the outer walls is hollow, with micro holes. Microorganisms suck in air through these tiny openings, creating a vacuum in front of the plate. The tiny jets of air harden even before they come into contact with the plate, and after passing through these microorganisms, they usually turn into bubbles. Then these bubbles will grow even more, approximately to the size of half a centimeter in diameter, will soften, and will roll between the walls into the lower part of the plate, and will split again into a gaseous substance. They can be eaten, if you manage to do it until they split. And what are the walls of the UFO made of? They have grown. How is that? Many people grow the mushroom, which creates water in different containers in which they are placed. It is tasty and slightly sour. This mushroom takes the shape of the container in which it is located. This mushroom, by the way, is very similar to a flying saucer. She makes her walls double. If another microorganism were added to the water, hardening would occur. But this so-called microorganism can be created or, more precisely, excited by the work of the brain, but of the will, as if through a living image. You can do that? Yes, but my strength will not be enough. It requires the action of several dozen people who have such abilities, and it should be done throughout the year. And does our Earth have everything needed to make, or to grow, as you say, this flying saucer and microorganisms? Of course there is. There is everything on Earth that is in the universe. And how to arrange microorganisms inside the walls of a UFO if they are so small that they are invisible? When the upper wall grows, it will attract them and collect them in large numbers, just as a honeycomb attracts bees. But here too, the strength and will of several dozen people is needed. But what's the point of giving you further details if you still can't create it because you don't have people with the right will, intellectual abilities and knowledge? And can't you possibly help? I can. Then do it. I already did. What did you do? I didn't understand. I told you how to raise children. And I will tell you more. You will tell people about it. Many will understand this, and their children, brought up in such a way, will have the intellectual abilities, knowledge and will to be able to make not only a primitive UFO, but much more. Anastasia, how do you know everything about UFOs? Is that also from talking to plants? Aliens used to land here, so I kind of helped them fix it. Are they much smarter than us? No, not at all. They are very far from man. They are afraid of him. They do not approach people, although they are very curious. At first they were afraid of me. They were sending thought paralyzers. They were getting into everything. They wanted to scare me, surprise me. I could hardly calm them down and was kind to them. So how are they not smarter when they do what a human can't do? What is strange here? Bees also build incredible constructions from natural materials with a complete system for ventilation, heating. Which does not mean that they have greater intellectual abilities than humans. In the universe there is no one and nothing stronger than man, except God.